The story of the White House began after the United States became a new country. In 1790, Congress passed a law called the Residence Act. This law said that there would be a new capital city along the Potomac River. President George Washington helped choose where the new city would be built. The city was named Washington, D.C. George Washington picked 3 men to be in charge of building the new city. Their names were Thomas Johnson, David Stewart, and Daniel Carroll. Washington also chose a man named Pierre Charles L'Enfant to make a plan for the city. L'Enfant and Washington picked a spot where the White House would be built. In 1792, they had a contest to see who could make the best design for President's house. An architect named James Hoban won the contest. President Washington liked his design. Hoban was born in Ireland and came to America. His design was for a big stone house that would look strong and important. On October 13, 1792, workers began to build the White House. They had a special ceremony to put down the first stone. This is called laying the cornerstone. The ceremony included special traditions from a group called the Masons. Building the White House took 8 years. It cost $232,371.83, which was a lot of money at that time. Today, that would be about $4,305,000. The house was made with white-gray sandstone. This made it look different from other buildings nearby that were made of red brick. People started calling it the White House because of its color, but it had other names too, like the President's House and the Executive Mansion. The White House was not completely finished, but it was ready for someone to live in it by November 1st, 1800. This is when the first president would move in. The building was much smaller than what L'Enfant had first planned. His idea was for a palace 5 times bigger than what was built. Building the White House took a lot of work and many people. After the land was chosen, workers had to clear it. They cut down trees and built roads. They also made bridges and places for boats to stop along the water. This was all done to get ready for the big job of building. The stone for the White House came from a special place. In December 1791, the government bought a stone quarry. A quarry is a place where people dig stones out of ground. This quarry was in Stafford County, Virginia, on a small island called Wigington's Island. The quarry was near a small river called Aquia Creek. The creek connected to the bigger Potomac River. This made it easy to move the heavy stones by boat to where the White House would be built. Different kinds of workers built the White House. Some were European workers who were paid for their work. Sadly, enslaved African Americans also worked on the building. They dug out the stone that was used. Many immigrants who were not yet citizens of the United States also worked on the White House. Scottish workers built the sandstone walls. Other workers made special decorations above the north door and around the windows. There are different stories about where the sandstone came from. Some people say it came from Croatia, from an island called Brac. But most researchers think the stone came from Aquia Creek in Virginia. Getting stone from another country would have cost too much money at that time. The building they made was different from the first plan. They planned to build a house with 3 main floors, but they only built 2. They also used brick inside the walls to save money. When the walls were finished, workers painted them white. They used a special mix of lime, rice glue, casein, and lead to make the white paint. This is why we call it the White House today. The building had rooms for the president and family to live in. It also had offices for the president and staff to work in. The White House was made to be both a home and a place to run the country. On November 1st, 1800, John Adams became the first president to live in the White House. This was an important day in American history. Before this, presidents had lived in other cities. George Washington never lived in the White House. He stayed in New York City and Philadelphia when he was president. John Adams was finishing his time as president when he moved into the White House. He had been the second president of the United States after George Washington. Before becoming president, Adams had been the first vice president, working with Washington for 8 years. When Adams first moved into the White House, his wife Abigail was not with him. On his second night in the new house, he wrote her a letter. In his letter he wrote, "I pray heaven to bestow the best of blessings on this house and all that shall hereafter inhabit it. May none but honest and wise men ever rule under this roof." These words were so important that many years later, President Franklin D. Roosevelt had them carved into the fireplace in the state dining room. Adams and his wife had been living in different places during his time as president. Sometimes they stayed at the president's house in Philadelphia, which was the capital city before Washington, D.C. Other times, they stayed at their farm home called Peacefield in Massachusetts. John Adams did not get to live in the White House for very long. The election of 1800 had already begun when he moved in. Adams lost his election to Thomas Jefferson, who had been a friend but became a political rival. Jefferson took over as president in March 1801. Adams and his wife Abigail were the first presidential couple to live in the White House, but their stay was short. They only lived there for about 4 months. Even so, they started the tradition of presidents living in this special house. Every president since Adams has lived in the White House while serving as president. The White House that Adams lived in was much smaller than the building we know today. Many changes will be made to it over the years by future presidents and their families. After John Adams, Thomas Jefferson moved into the White House in 1801. Jefferson thought the house was too big. He said it was big enough for 2 emperors, 1 pope, and the Grand Lama in the bargain. But even though he thought it was too big, Jefferson helped make the White House better. He worked with an architect named Benjamin Henry Latrobe to add new parts to the building. Together, Jefferson and Latrobe designed the east and west colonnades. Colonnades are rows of columns that make a covered walkway. These new additions help hide areas where people did laundry, kept horses, and stored things. Today, these colonnades connect the main house to the east and west wings. The White House was damaged badly during the War of 1812. This was a war between the United States and Great Britain. On August 24th, 1814, British soldiers came to Washington, D.C. They set many buildings on fire, including the White House. This is called the burning of Washington. The British did this to get back at American troops who had destroyed things in Canada. The White House was not the only building they burned. Many parts of Washington were hurt by these fires. After the fires, only the outside walls of the White House were still standing. These walls were very weak because of the fire and being out in the weather. Workers had to tear down most of these walls and build them again. Only parts of the south wall could be saved. The British took many things from the White House when they attacked. Only 3 of these items have ever been found again. This means most of the original furniture and decorations from the early White House are gone forever. After the fire, the White House had to be rebuilt. James Hoban, the same architect who designed the original building, was asked to lead the rebuilding work. The house was rebuilt to look the same as before, but it was made stronger. Workers painted the new sandstone walls white again. By 1817, the White House was rebuilt and ready for President James Monroe to move in. The rebuilding showed that the United States was strong and could recover from the war. The White House became an even more important symbol of the country after it was rebuilt from the ashes. The White House has changed a lot over more than 200 years. Presidents and their families have made changes to make the building better and bigger. Some presidents added new rooms, while others fixed old parts of the house. In 1891, President Benjamin Harrison and his wife Caroline wanted to make big changes to the White House. They wanted to add a national wing on the east side to show art. They also wanted to add a wing on the west side for official work. Colonel Theodore A. Bingham made a plan based on their ideas, but it did not happen right away. The Harrisons did start one tradition that continues today. They were the first to put up and decorate a Christmas tree in the White House. In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt hired architects to make big changes to the White House. The company was called McKim, Mead and White. Charles McKim led the work himself. They removed all the Victorian-style decorations and made the building look more classical. They took out a staircase in the West Hall to make more living space for the president's large family. They also moved office workers from the second floor into a new West Wing. President William Howard Taft wanted more space in the West Wing. He hired architect Nathan C. Wyatt to add more room. This is when they added the Oval Office, which is the president's main office. The Oval Office is a famous room where the president does important work. In 1925, Congress made a new law. This law allowed the White House to accept gifts of furniture and art for the first time. This meant people could donate nice things to make the White House more beautiful. Bad luck struck the White House again on Christmas Eve in 1929. The West Wing was damaged by a fire. President Herbert Hoover and his helpers moved back into the fixed West Wing on April 14, 1930. In the 1930s, workers added a second story to the West Wing. They also made a bigger basement for White House staff. President Franklin Roosevelt moved the Oval Office to where it is today, next to the Rose Garden. These changes have made the White House better over time. Each president has helped shape the building to meet the needs of their time. The White House keeps changing, even today. The White House has many special rooms. Each room has its own purpose and history. Some rooms are for working. Some are for big parties, and some are for the president's family to live in. One of the most famous rooms is the Oval Office. This is where the president works. It is called the Oval Office because it is shaped like an oval, not a square or rectangle. President Franklin Roosevelt moved the Oval Office to its current spot next to the Rose Garden. The president meets important people and makes big decisions in this room. The Cabinet Room is another important working room. This is where the president meets with the cabinet. The cabinet is a group of people who help the president run the country. They give advice about different parts of the government. The White House also has beautiful rooms for special events. The East Room is the biggest room in the White House. It is used for big parties, press conferences, and ceremonies. Many important events in American history have happened in this room. The state dining room is where the president hosts special dinners for important guests. It can fit many people for fancy meals. The walls of this room have the words that John Adams wrote about the White House carved into fireplace. The White House has 3 special rooms named after their colors: the blue room, the red room, and the green room. The blue room is an oval-shaped room where the president often meets official visitors. The red room is used for small gatherings and has red walls and furniture. The green room is used to receive guests and has green walls and furniture. The family theater is a special room where the president and family can watch movies. It was added to the White House in later years to give the president's family a place to relax. There's also a china room in the White House. This room shows dishes and tableware used by presidents over the years. Each president usually gets new dishes with special designs. The White House has a basement with many rooms for working and storage. There is also a White House office of the curator. The curator takes care of all the special things in the White House, like paintings and furniture. All these rooms make the White House both a home and an office. They help the president live and work in the same building. Many people work at the White House to help the president do an important job. Some people work in offices, some cook food, some clean the building, and some keep everyone safe. All these workers make sure the White House runs well every day. When the White House was first built, about 30 people worked there to help President Washington. This included staff members, helpers, and servants. Today, many more people work at the White House because the president's job has become bigger and more complex. The West Wing is where many important workers have their offices. This is the part of the White House where government business happens. The president's top helpers and advisors work here. They help the president make decisions and run the country. The White House has a special office called the White House Office of the Curator. The curator is like a museum keeper. This person takes care of all the paintings, furniture, and special objects in the White House. They make sure these important things are kept safe and looking nice. Security is very important at the White House. The Secret Service is a group of people who protect the president and the White House. They check everyone who comes into the building and watch for any dangers. They work every day and night to keep the president and family safe. The White House also has chefs who cook food. They make meals for the president's family every day. They also cook for special events when important visitors come to the White House. These chefs can make simple family meals or fancy dinners for world leaders. Housekeepers take care of the White House rooms. They clean, do laundry, and make sure everything looks nice. They work hard to keep such a big and important building clean and organized. Gardeners take care of the White House grounds. They mow the lawn, plant flowers, and trim the trees. The White House has beautiful gardens that need a lot of work to stay pretty. Tour guides work at the White House to show visitors around. They know a lot about the building's history. They tell visitors interesting facts about the rooms and people who live there. All these workers help make the White House work well. They make it possible for the president to live and work in this special place while running the country. Living in the White House is a special experience. It is both an honor and a challenge for the president and family. The White House is a home, but it is also a place where important work happens. The president's family must find a way to have a normal life in a very unusual home. The president's family lives on the second and third floors of the White House. These are the private family areas. The second floor has the main bedrooms, including the master bedroom for the president and spouse. It also has a family kitchen, dining room, and sitting areas. The third floor has more bedrooms, a game room, and other spaces for family and guests. Moving into the White House happens quickly when a new president is elected. The family moves in on Inauguration Day. The old president moves out in the morning. While the new president is being sworn in, workers quickly change the house. They move out the old president's things and move in the new family's furniture and personal items. By evening, the house is ready for the new family. Presidents with children face special challenges. The children have to go to school, make friends, and grow up while living in a famous house with tight security. Many presidential children have said it was hard to have a normal childhood in the White House. However, they also get to see history happen up close and meet interesting people from around the world. The First Lady or First Gentleman has an important role in the White House. They often manage the house and plan special events. Many First Ladies have also worked on important projects to help the country while living in the White House. They have offices and staff to help them with their work. Even though the White House is very big, presidents and their families often say it can feel small. This is because they can't easily go to regular places like stores or parks without security. The White House becomes their main world during the president's time in office. Presidential pets have also been an important part of White House life. Many presidents have brought dogs, cats, and other animals to live with them. These pets help the White House feel more like a normal home and are often loved by the American people. Living in the White House means living in history. Each family adds their own story to this special house that has been home of American presidents for more than 200 years. Many people want to see the White House. It is a famous building where the President of the United States lives and works. Good news, you can visit the White House. Tours are free, but you need to plan ahead. The White House offers self-guided tours. This means you can walk through some parts of the building at your own pace. These tours are available Tuesday through Saturday. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, tours run from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. On Friday and Saturday, tours run from 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. To get tickets for a White House tour, you need to contact your member of Congress. If you are an American citizen, you have representatives in the House and Senate. You can call the House switchboard at 202-225-3121 or the Senate switchboard at 202-224-3121 to reach your member of Congress. You must ask for tour tickets at least 21 days before you want to visit. It's better to ask 90 days, about 3 months, before your visit if possible. Tour tickets are given out on a first-come, first-served basis. This means people who ask first get tickets first. After you ask for a tour, you will get an email from the White House. This email will have a link where you must give security information about everyone who wants to visit. It's important to fill this out right away. When you arrive for your tour, you'll enter from the south side of East Executive Avenue. First, you will go through security. Security officers will check your bags and make sure it's safe for you to enter. After security, you will enter the east wing of the White House and walk down the East Colonnade. During your tour, you will see many famous rooms. You can visit the State Dining Room, where presidents host special dinners for important guests. You will see the East Room, which is the largest room in the White House. You will also see the Blue Room, Red Room, and Green Room, which are used for welcoming guests and small gatherings. The Family Theater is another interesting room on the tour. Remember to bring a photo, ID for the tour. Also, there are rules about what you can bring into the White House. Some things like large bags, food, and drinks are not allowed. Taking photos is usually permitted, but rules can change. Visiting the White House is a special experience. You get to walk through the same rooms where presidents have made important decisions that shaped American history. Today, the White House is still the center of American government. It is where the president lives and works. The White House has changed a lot since John Adams first lived there in 1800, but its important role continues. The modern White House is much bigger than the original building. It has about 132 rooms and 35 bathrooms. It has 412 doors and 147 windows. The White House has 6 levels: the ground floor, state floor, second floor, third floor, and 2 basement levels. The whole building is about 55,000 square feet, 5,100 square meters in size. The White House is more than just a building. It is a symbol of the United States and its government. When people around the world see the White House, they think of the American president and American democracy. The building appears on the back of the $20 bill, showing how important it is to American identity. Modern presidents use the White House in many ways. They live there with their families. They work in the Oval Office. They welcome visitors from other countries. They hold press conferences to talk to reporters. They have parties and ceremonies in the big rooms. Some presidents also give TV talks to the nation from the White House. Technology has changed how the White House works. Presidents now have computers, television studios, and secure phones to communicate with people around the world. The White House has its own website and social media accounts to share information with the public. Security at the White House is very strong. After the September 11th, 2001 attacks, security became even tighter. There are high fences around the grounds. Security officers and special technology protect the building and the people inside. Some security measures are visible, but many are hidden to keep the president safe. The White House still needs regular care and updates. Workers fix problems, paint walls, and keep everything working well. Sometimes they make bigger changes to help the building work better for modern needs while still respecting its history. Millions of people visit the White House each year. Some come for public tours. Others come for special events or to meet with the president and staff. The White House welcomes Americans and visitors from other countries to see this important building. After more than 200 years, the White House continues to be the people's house. It belongs to all Americans, not just the president who lives there. It stands as a lasting symbol of American history, government, and values.